It's Brainwash with Dr. Tom and Guitar Picks with Will Little. We've discussed 10 of his influence songs. We have another 10 to go. And we'll continue with The Grateful Dead, Mission in the Rain.
Okay, this is again one of those slower, more melodic songs that I'm a big fan of. A lot of people like to, like I said with the Steve Kimmock, a lot of people will try to get more into the harder hitting, rockier type stuff, but I'm a big fan of the slower, more lyrical stuff. This is a real good combination of Garcia and Robert Hunter's composition together, and the lyrics are great, and it starts off real slow and kind of sad, and again kind of has a bleak outlook through most of the song, but underneath it all there's still a little bit of hope. And again, I've always liked the slower, more lyrical stuff, and I don't really understand. I mean, I guess I can understand why some people don't get into it, but it's never really been an issue for me. I've got an old Grateful Dead tape from '72 or something like that, and they're playing Row Jimmy, which is another slower song, and you can hear people in the crowd like saying, "Pick it up, boys," and "We can't dance to this," and stuff like that. And I think it's funny, but at the same time, it's kind of disappointing that people can't get into something that's not having a rolling tempo or something like that. So this is just another example of some of the lighter side of music that I enjoy.
Okay, it's Brainwash with Dr. Tom and Guitar Picks with Will Little. Wes Montgomery, Full House.
Wes Montgomery, like I said earlier with John Scofield, big jazz influence. Plays the hollow body. Like I said before, he's big on playing the octaves. And one thing, he was called the thumb, or because he played with his thumb, the different sound. You have a pick, which kind of has that clicky attack, but when you play with your thumb, it's just real rounded out. And his lyrical phrasing and solos, he's got a very horn-like quality to how he plays the solos and how he plays the guitar, and it's just very unique and amazing that he just, this is back in the early jazz days before lots of crazy effects and anything like that, and it's just his guitar and his fingers. And, even though a jazz tone can be kind of uninspiring because it's pretty toneless almost, real deep and not a lot of high end to it, he still seems to make it very interesting. And this one's it's a waltz feel. It's in 3/4. I like a lot of odd times and things like that, and obviously a waltz feel is the most basic of those all times. And it's also in a minor key, and most guitar players have an affinity for minor keys, and I guess I'm no different.
It's Brainwash with Dr. Tom and Guitar Picks with Will Little. Dave Brubeck, Blue Rondo a la Turk.
Yep, speaking of odd times, this is off of the Time Out album, which is a whole album dedicated to odd times.
Yeah.
I can't really play anything off of Blue Rondo, but the more common one you hear is the Take 5. And it goes on like that. But I really like the feel of Blue Rondo a whole lot. And again, I feel like Take 5, much like Herbie Hancock's Chameleon, is just oversighted as an influence. Obviously, it's still an influence for me because I just played it. But I really like the piano on this, and I don't know what horn it is. Maybe it's a soprano sax that's just going on, the interweaving of that. Kind of a pedal tone on the piano, a constant droning note with a moving counter melody either above or below it, and it's a real nice group of layers that comes together to make a real nice final product.
So how long have you been playing, and how did you get into music?
I started playing guitar after I was a freshman in high school, the summer after that, so I guess I was about 14. This was back in, I guess, 94. Because I remember it was around the OJ fiasco and all that. And obviously, when I was a freshman in high school, it was probably around 94. So I was real big into the grunge alternative scene to start off with, Nirvana and Smashing Pumpkins. And, that's a real good way to start when you're just learning the instrument, because, you learn your basic chords and some simple strong structures and, just that kind of rude garage type of feel. Smashing Pumpkins was real interesting to me, starting off, because they kind of had a little bit more of a technical edge to it with the two guitars, and, they played some more complicated lines. And as long as I've been playing music, I've kind of jumped around from styles, and, I'll get real into an artist or a style for however long it takes, and once I've kind of digested all that, I kind of move along. So, from the alternative stuff, I started getting into the Allman Brothers, which I guess was starting to get into the whole jam scene, and Stevie Ray Vaughan was a big influence. Started playing a Strat, so obviously that was someone to imitate from the get-go, and also had that more technical edge and more complicated song structure, even though it still is the blues. Went to college, obviously, started meeting a lot of new people, listening to a lot of new music, and that's probably when I started listening to Phish, was in 97. That was a big influence for me. That was real complicated for me, learning a lot of those songs around that time. I was also into Rush, just getting into the more technical aspect of things. And a couple years later, like I said earlier, picked up the mandolin, got into bluegrass. I've spent a little bit of time with classical fingerstyle guitar, some of the bossa feels, and Latin jazz and Spanish feels too. So there's always something new for me to listen to and get into, and it's basically just I'm digesting one style until it's all chewed up, and then I find something else.
So even though you just mentioned a few minutes ago you start out with some of the grunge stuff, there's really no grunge on here. Why is that?
I don't know. I guess I just feel like that's a part of my life that really reminds me of my youth. And I mean, I guess it should be an influence, because obviously it's what started me playing music, but it's also just I've gotten so far past that as far as the styles that I'm into. I felt like it would kind of stick out maybe amongst some soft melodic Steve Kimmock and some odd time signature jazz here, and some raucous guitars just wouldn't really fit in the blend very well.
So this is more of, I guess, a list of maturation influences.
There you go.
It's Brainwash with Dr. Tom and Guitar Picks with Will Little, Phish, In-Law, Josie Wales.
Yeah, this is a song that uses an open tuning. It's called Dad Gad, which is the name of the strings. You got D, A, D, G, A, and D. It's a real nice, you can just strum the strings open and it sounds wonderful. I use this song kind of as a double influence. Obviously Phish is a huge influence to me, and while this isn't really a full Phish band composition, I was also using it to kind of talk about the odd time signature, or not the odd time signatures, the Dad-Gad tuning. Leo Kottke's a big user of this, and a lot of other people are. And it's lower tuning, so you get that real nice low D in there. And all the harmonics are rearranged too, so it's almost like playing an entirely different instrument. While I can't really play it, you learn a lot of different chord shapes, and they're taking up the same notes, but you just learn different patterns. And in playing the guitar, it's real easy to fall into patterns. So it's always good to play in a different tuning or play a different instrument to kind of break that bad habit.